Hello Virgo, welcome to your reading. My name is Maria and this is a tarot-intuitive story for you if you have Virgo in your chart, if you're a cross-watcher, or other things could have drawn you to this reading too. You could have a Virgo transit, or you could resonate with me as a reader, or the title drew you in. There are actually many reasons why we would resonate with a reading. So the most important part is that you feel that it rings true and that it contributes with something for you. Did I say my name was Maria? It is. And your reading starts with the higher power card, which today is coming out as justice. So it is a higher power that would now like to re-establish justice in your life, that would like to rebalance something that has been out of balance for a time, and for sure, in your favor, for your benefit. So that there's a place in your life where you've been sort of a little out of whack, or maybe out of your center. And this is the point when spirit and maybe also timing is coming in to make sure that turns into harmony and justice and truth. And it could very well be about relationships, but it actually could be about a multitude of things. But it comes clarified by the sorrow card. And the sorrow card is, the description in this card is that it's like an old feeling that you already know. It's not a new sorrow that's arising here. It's a remembrance of a sorrow that you know from maybe way back when, or that you've experienced in your life, to sort of be thrown back into a sort of an old room inside of your house. And every time you step into that room where the sorrow lives, it's like it's unchanged. And you get this feeling like, but why am I here again? Haven't I changed? Haven't I moved on? Why am I back in this room where everything looks like it's completely unchanged? And it's because that there is a room inside of you where sorrow lives, that there is a room like that in all of our inner houses. And that is actually as such unchangeable. The thing that is changeable is, how often do you visit it? How long do you stay? How far down sort of into the rabbit hole do you go before you step back out? And it looks like you're getting sort of the hang of it. You're learning how to cope with maybe some difficult emotions, but then actually step out of them quite quickly again, and not let it define your identity or your life, or actually really anything, but just understanding it as, okay, yes, this is also part of my psyche. This is part of life, that sometimes I have to visit this old room with this old pain. But that is not actually telling a story about my actual current situation. But the sorrow that is lying there somewhere inside of your inner house, in your inner room, looks to have to do with you having compromised on something that was actually very important and valuable to you. And so we could be talking about your career, or your relationships, family, your self-worth. Of course, partnership would be also obvious. But the main part of this is that you've been in a situation, or you might still be in a situation that is unsatisfactory, because nobody's really happy. I mean, this is not a win-win situation. This is everybody actually being a little dissatisfied with what's going on, and nobody really getting what they want, and just the whole thing being sort of colorless and not very lively. So it's being clarified why this compromise has been taking place, and it's being clarified by the poised card. This is you, And what's striking to me about this card is that it is called poised, but in the card we see there's a lot of glare in the cards today, so I hope you can make out the visuals anyway. So it's called poised, but this person looks like they don't look poised to me. Because poised, I would expect somebody to look very sort of calm and elegant and graceful and centered, but this one looks like they're really performing, like they're giving it their all to sort of put on a show to, I think, make somebody happy. So this is you putting on a show to sort of, I guess, distract somebody from their pain or their bad mood or their dissatisfaction with this, that, and the other. So it's sort of like being the class clown, or being the one who's always lifting everybody's mood, being everybody's mother, or taking on a role where you take responsibility for everybody or one other person's mood and ability to feel positive about the situation. And in order to do that, you're sort of giving it your all with this whole performance and dancing and singing and doing tricks and Broadway and step dancing. Like it just looks like you're taking on a lot, and you're really, really, really doing the work. You're doing the work for everybody or this one person. For them to maybe we're talking about somebody who's erratic or just very, very moody, and and so you've been putting it on yourself to keep them high vibe with, you know, everything you've got. But the next two cards, this one, which is the what's that word, independence, and the celebration card, they are conveying a message about you actually at this point trying to break free of this role of you having to lift somebody or maybe everybody with giving them all of your energy and trying to, maybe you're the kind of person who gets incredibly uncomfortable and feels really unsafe when people are in a bad mood around you. So your instinct is just to try to help and uplift and do and sort of remove that sort of threatening energy, because it's really difficult for you to be in that energy. But this card, the independence card, is about you actually starting to break free from that and to realize, no, actually my own personal energy is independent of this other person or this workplace or this my family or whatever sort of relationship we're talking about. And if they're in a bad mood, then that's their problem. I don't need to take it on. I can make myself independent of their mood and their feelings and their ups and downs and actually, because that's their responsibility. It's actually not mine. So it's like you're taking your power back by remembering that your responsibility is yourself. That is really to make sure that your energy is high vibe, and whenever the other person does, or this community or your workplace does, that's actually their problem, not yours. So you are breaking free of some chains where you have been very reactive, and maybe this other person or community has been very well aware of that and has maybe been sort of a little bit tyrannical with their energy and their moods, because they knew that you would then be a little frightened and just do anything to just put them in a, you know, put on a whole song and dance in order to make them happy again. But now you're actually learning to dance in the rain. You're learning that, well, I mean, other people can be in a bad mood, or my family can be upset about this, that, or the other, but I can actually still enjoy my own energy. I can still be in the moment and be fine with that and enjoy myself. And it can be raining, but I'll still be dancing, and then that's what I'll be doing. So you're changing something very fundamental, and something that is maybe a really ingrained sort of old pattern, that where you're suddenly now choosing to just not be responsible for everybody else or anybody else, and letting them control their own moods, because it's actually a them problem. So you're stepping more into an observer role, where before you were, getting directly up on stage and trying to fix everything with your song and dance and good mood and all of it. You're not at this point. You're leaning back to see, how does this actually play out when I don't take the responsibility? What actually happens? Who does what? How does this situation play out when I don't do that? And it turns out to be an incredibly interesting experiment for you, because you don't know, you've never seen that, because you've never maybe had the courage to stay in a situation with somebody who's like we have this expression in Danish that somebody's like a thundercloud, like they walk around like all dark and you never know when there's going to be a lightning, and everybody's sort of a little afraid every time they enter the room. And now at this point, you're just sort of looking at the clouds, and you're just looking at the weathery conditions, but not reacting as you usually do. And the quiet card comes out, and it's showing me that you suddenly access a new peace, which you really would, right? Because you're not letting the other dictate your moods and your situation. So in this piece, something very beautiful and natural is arising. And it actually also comes out kind of practical, that if you're in a work environment with a lot of moods and sounds, that you put on headphones and you just log out, or you do that while that other person is in the room. I'm putting on my headphones, you fix your mood and I'll just stay in my own vibe. So you're learning to do that. You could be doing it sort of outer and or inner. Either this is something that you're doing on the inside, but you could also be you could be becoming much stronger in your boundaries and actually saying, I will now close the door, or I'm putting down the phone, or doing things like that actually gives you quiet time, and then time to replenish and nourish yourself, and not being in this show all the time. So it's great for you. This is a great strategy. It's bringing you into sort of a peace and innocence, and it's also awakening your third eye, your intuition, because while you've been in this, you are actually not really listening to yourself, because you only have antennas directed towards the others. Now your antennas start to be directed towards yourself, your deeper nature, spirit, maybe because the higher power came out as the first card of your reading. So you're really shifting frequency in the sense of what you listen to and what you allow to shift and change and direct the situations that you're in. And this also catches the attention of somebody else in your environment. This comes out the loyal heart, and it has a story about you. It's like you and somebody else suddenly notice each other, and like you never did before. It's sort of like, let's say this is a work situation. You get to sit in the cantina with somebody at lunch break, doing this whole new thing, and you're acting in new ways, and then suddenly you two look at each other and you're like, wow, we actually have a lot to talk about. We actually have a lot in common. So you were turned away, but then you sort of turn your heads and you realize, oh, we're actually two peas in a pod. Here's a majestic eagle, here's another majestic eagle. They both have a crown, and I think that your crown has been has been sort of hidden to yourself and others because you've been dancing and singing and taking responsibility for everybody else. But it's almost like your headphones are your crown, the fact that you step into more silence and being very conscious and aware of the fact that you actually only want to take responsibility for your own energy and moods, and everybody else can take responsibility for theirs. It's making your crown visible, and suddenly you and this other energy or person realize, wow, hey, we need to talk, we need to have a conversation because we're a frequency match. And it's also pointing me back to this card, the compromise card, because what you have been engaging with before has been these sort of half-baked energies in every way. Like nobody was ever really happy about anything, and that's also usually the dynamic. If somebody's taking on other people's moods, then people sort of subconsciously know it, and they keep dumping their trauma upon them, and they keep being dissatisfied, because being dissatisfied actually gives them a lot of energy. But now that you've realized, no, I'm not gonna reward you for your dissatisfaction, you work it out for yourself, you're also stepping out of this compromise energy. And I think maybe in the booklet, or maybe I read somewhere else, that this is about courtiers in the Japanese courts in the ancient days, and they were eunuchs, and also they were sort of very into the politics of being at the court. So everything was kind of like, you do this for that person, and talking behind each other's backs. And it just looks like an incredibly toxic environment where nobody's really honest about anything, and everybody has sort of a hidden agenda. And and just the eunuch part of it also being sort of like life force is missing in a way. It's just all about this bad energy, I guess. And but this is majesty. So it's a major step up, because these are courtiers. These are king and queen, or king and king, queen and queen, however you want to see it. And it's a match on a completely other level. So suddenly you see this other person, and they come out with an energy that is nothing like these compromise situations with people talking behind each other's backs, because this is loyalty. This is somebody you can actually trust. And they are also really interested in showing you that you can trust them, because they come out with self-worth and courage. And come to the edge, actually. Come to the edge, which is about them showing you that you can trust them. But the way they show it at first is through how they show up in the world. And they show up with self-worth and courage. And that's also how they show up in the relationship with you. They're not cowards sitting in some corner and expecting you to do a song and dance and do all of the work while they sit around and being mopey. No, this comes out with a sort of a much more colorful, beautiful energy. And they know themselves, and they know about worth. They know about their own worth, and therefore also about yours. And they are willing to show courage and vulnerability in engaging with you. So it's not all of this like hiding what their actual agenda is, and sneaking around and doing weird deals in the halls. And this is they actually have the courage to show you who they are, and they know themselves enough. They're fundamentally strong enough and mature enough to do that. Because of course these are both sort of hypocrites and also cowards. This person is the opposite, and that's also why they're so majestic. And the moment you start stepping into your own power of not picking up everybody else and letting them sort of run you around like a Pinocchio figure, it's like magic. You instantly sort of realize you have a communion with this one. So they actually they awaken something completely different in you, because you're still dancing in this scenario like you were in this, but you're not performing anymore. This is actual freedom. This is like ecstatic dance. This is just being free. And they, because of their sort of courage and truthfulness and showing up just as they are, they make you safe enough to dance. And what it's showing me is that you have actually been trying to do something that's very authentic to you, because you are incredibly sweet, you're incredibly loving, you're giving, you're all of these things, but it just became sort of forced, or it became something that that wasn't freedom. It was somebody else who was kind of, in a way, more or less consciously manipulating you to it, and you were doing it a little bit out of fear. But it is actually, your true nature is to be giving and loving and dancing, but with safety, right, around people who actually appreciate you, and who are not like, you're my pet, now dance, but they just love your natural inherent you-ness, and you feel that, and it gives you the freedom to move. And also you coming out with the freedom card, telling us that having stepped out of letting yourself be controlled by others' moods and meeting up with this other majestic creature is setting you free. It's really letting you move freely, and it's just so beautiful. I mean, it's just, this is who you are. It's just been sort of, somebody was kind of using it, or you've been in a environment where it was being used and you were not getting back. But now you get to actually be free to be who you are, which is actually very giving. You just need the safety of it being actually appreciated. And then ending your reading with the Lovers. So very beautifully, I mean, obviously showing me back to this bonded pair, and of you two seeing each other very clearly, because you are now fully in your own energy, and so they see you, and it's like there's no other way than for this to be like this. It just has to be. It's so beautiful. And your heart, oh, by the way, I'm just realizing, look at your heart, all free again. Not in barbed wire, not in this stony environment, but actually so full and free and throbbing and warm, and you know, with this meeting with the other. So it becomes sort of a releasing of your heart, when you also release the responsibility for everybody else. Then something really true can come in that wants to support you as well. So, or actually come in, I feel like they're already here. You just haven't seen each other in this way. That's kind of how it's coming out. So, Virgo, this was your reading. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, leave me a like, a thumbs up, or that's the same, or and/or subscription, comment. And I'll see you hopefully again soon. Bye.